Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here. It's finally time to start posting the videos for the build that I required the belt sander for. Now obviously this is not aluminum, this is the glass that goes together for this tank. There's actually 13 sheets of glass going into this one tank, and it's in 3 pieces. Now the reason why I'm starting with this is because the glass comes from the manufacturer of the factory, and it's tempered and it's all drilled and everything, but the problem is it comes with a tolerance that's quite large. At 10 mil, it's plus or minus a quarter of an inch for each piece. So for me to build an aquarium, it's usually not so bad because the way I laid the pieces on, there's only 1 or 2 critical ones, and there's usually enough play at a quarter inch. A quarter inch doesn't usually happen. It's usually about an eighth. An eighth is usually reasonably acceptable. But in this case, because there are 13 pieces that have to all fit together, and because of the way they fit together, as you see as we'll go along here, it's going to be critical that I build the tank first, and that way I can make any kind of allowances with the stand, because it's easier to machine the stand to obviously far more greater tolerances than a quarter inch. Actually, I'm hoping to get less than a 16th, hopefully even down to a 32nd. Because this is going to be a I'm not really sure what to call it. It's either going to be a river tank, which is the way I kind of look at it, but there's a lot of videos I've been seeing lately of what people call drop-off tanks, and it's kind of going to be a combination because there's going to be 3 aquariums. The end one, which is going to be this one, is going to be deeper and also going to have one side is going to be shorter, and that's going to be that's going to be where the connecting tank is going to go between it and the shallower tank, which is going to be raised up higher. I know this all sounds kind of confusing. Don't worry, it'll all become clear once you see me start the stand build. The important part here is I need to make the aquariums first so I can take precise measurements, and therefore I can start building the stand. Now also, when I ordered the glass, I said I had 13 sheets to go into this tank. I actually ordered 15 sheets. The reason for that is the client needs to be able to possibly move this tank at a later date, a year or 2 down the road. And part of the reason that I get to build it now is I told them I can come up with a way of actually making this thing movable. And that is the tricky part. There's 3 tanks, they're all connected and they can't leak, but they also have to be set up in a certain way that I can actually disassemble this, and that means there's one sheet of glass. As we go along in the build later on, actually several steps from now, I'll go over this again and I'll tell you which piece that is. But that one piece had to be extremely precise, which is very hard to do for, like I said, there's the tolerances for them making glass is quite high, or sorry, quite sloppy. I think is probably a better way of saying that. And so I had to order that one piece. I had to order 3 pieces, and they're all I ordered them all at slightly different sizes. And when I got them all in, I was hoping that one of them would be precise, or the exact size that I needed. And that way I wouldn't have to reorder. Sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4 weeks to get a piece of glass reordered, and what I wanted to do is make sure I had everything I needed on hand so I can do all the builds. And the funny thing is I did actually end up getting exactly what I needed, and one of the pieces is perfect, and then of course I have 2 other sheets of 10 mil tempered glass which are completely useless to me. I may have to find something else to do with those later on. But anyway, the funny thing is, once I think about halfway through this build, the client informed me that there was going to be some renos in the office, and they were going to do some switching around because they had to make room for some extra people. And so this whole project got put on hold for almost a month. You can see right now there's snow out there, and I've actually just finished completing this whole build and everything, and it's now the beginning of June. So, it's one of those hurry up and wait thingies. This is the shallower tank, and you'll notice that there is the hole here is in a different position. The reason for that is, I mean, again, this is kind of hard to explain. Oh, sorry here. Every now and then when I'm building these things, I end up putting the silicone on the wrong side. And the only reason why I know I put it on the wrong side is you can see the tape that's there. I know you don't build tanks, but you'll notice that the sheet laying down on the top part of it is where I shortened the tape so that it wouldn't stick to the bottom, and I realized when I went to reach for it that it was on the wrong side, so I had to re-silicone that piece. And you'll notice later on, the far end now that's just standing there, which actually already had silicone on it, I'll have to re-silicone that again, because silicone will skin in 4 or 5 minutes, and then you don't get as good. Here I am re-siliconing it now. You don't get as good a seal. So I'll end up with a little way more silicone than I need on that section. But then again, I just because of the tape, you don't actually ever get to see it. I just scoop it all off and then remove the tape, and it's not an issue. So anyway, as I was saying earlier, the hole here is at the top. This is the input for the tank, and it's going to shoot water across, and it's going to go where you see the gap, the shorter sheet on the other side. That's where the middle joining tank is going to be. So the water is going to flow across there, and there's going to be driftwood and rocks and plants, and the flow of water down that section is the reason why I want to call it a river tank. And because this tank, even though it looks shorter than the other tank, it's going to be raised up higher, and so that way the other tank is going to appear deeper, and the water is going to flow over that and down into the other tank. And so hence you can also call it like a drop-off tank. Anyway, this is just sort of the introduction video. What I'm going to do, you can see that I can't actually show you the third tank because it can't be assembled at all until I'm on site, and then we'll go through the various details for that. So anyway, like I said, this is just the intro. I wanted to show you the tanks. I'm going to build them here. If you want more details on actual tank building for like where all the various tapes can go, check out the 175 gallon reef tank build that I did, one of my first video series, and that will show you more of the details on actually the tank building part. This video series I really want to focus more on the stand, the structure, and how it all goes together, and that's what's going to happen in the next videos. This is the aluminum, and this is all going to turn into a stand, and I'm going to start that with in part 2, and hopefully you guys will tune in for that. This is all 1/4 inch angle, quarter inch, 2 inch tubular steel. And anyway, I'll go through all the details of how that's all going to go together in the machining of it in video 2. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully you like this style of video. If you do, please like and subscribe. And I will see you, because this is going to be a cool build in the end. Well, I actually know the answer now, because I've seen it all go together. But anyway, enough of that. We'll see you in video 2.